Hi, it's the Lipstick Gal. Thanks so much for watching today. I have the new Futurist Skin Tint Serum from Estee Lauder. I have been always a fan of Estee Lauder foundations. I have 3 other ones in my collection, and I'll just say this is probably not officially considered a foundation, but we're gonna use it for coverage today. I'm a little worried that I may not have the right shade. It might be too light. I've always struggled. I'm gonna put some of this on while I tell you about my shade match problems. Okay, so it does come with a dropper. I'm gonna make sure I have enough here in the dropper. I'm gonna put a drop on the back of my hand. So it does, I feel like if I were to have put more of a drop there, it would have started to run down. It's sheer, but it is looking like it's gonna be a little light. And my hands and my face aren't exactly the same shade, but I can usually tell when I'm swatching things in store, and I didn't swatch this in store. Okay, so I'll link it for you here in the description box down below, but I picked up the holiday blockbuster and I went to Macy's to get it because they were the only place that was even remotely close to my house at an hour and 20 minutes away that had the blockbuster, and I really wanted to try it this year. And it's a purchase with purchase. You needed to purchase something before. And so this is what I purchased, but it's so new. My Macy's didn't even have any of them, so I couldn't really swatch the shades. All right, so I'm gonna put some on my palette here. That might be more than I need. And I'm gonna start to blend this in. For years, I wanted to wear the Estee Lauder Double Wear because I liked the formula, but they never had a shade that was light enough for me. The lightest neutral shade years ago was 1N1. And I used to try and, this is gonna be not ideal. I used to try and wear that shade, and I always looked like I was wearing a mask. It was too dark, and it didn't really feel like it worked for me. And then, I don't know how many years ago was it, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they extended their shade range, and their lightest neutral shade is 0N1, which is the shade. And then they have 1N0, which is the shade that I use in Double Wear. And then the next darkest neutral shade is the shade 1N1. The reason I'm telling you this is that this formula, if you're a neutral fair, this is the lightest shade in 0N1, and then the next shade they have that's neutral is 1N1, which I know for a fact is too dark for me. So I was like, and there was no swatching, and I was like, well, we'll just try it. And I think there's a strong possibility this is too fair for me. Even though it is a skin tint, I mean, a little bronzer, I could probably make it work, but I always want to start with a product, especially something like this that is really thin and lightweight, just so we can see, you know, what it's like. I have it on the left side of my face, and I blended it in with a synthetic brush. And then I just took this like right down the middle here so you wouldn't see like where it wasn't blended. Because I wanted you to see this side of my face without any product and this side of my face with product. Here's what I'll tell you. And I don't have any corrector or concealer under the eyes. It's just this product. This, by the way, the full name of it is the Futurist Skin Tint Serum with Botanical Oil Infusions. And those oils are rose hip, meadow foam seed, and calendula. So this definitely has a thinner, slightly hydrated feel on the skin. My skin definitely doesn't feel like it's wearing a layer of foundation. And I know that foundations are much more elegant than they used to be, but there are still times that I'm putting stuff on my face. I'm like, yep, I'm wearing makeup, and I can feel my face moving. And it takes a while before I kind of get used to it, but right now it just feels like I'm wearing skincare. So if you like something that's really lightweight, that's something to keep in mind. The other thing is though, I've had it on for a few minutes. It still feels slightly tacky. I don't know that I'm getting as much coverage. Well, it's light coverage. If you have fewer imperfections on your skin, less hyperpigmentation, less redness, this might be exactly what you're looking for. I feel like it's okay, but I'm definitely gonna wanna bulk up my coverage with a little bit of concealer. The other thing I'm noticing is that it does look like in places like the pigment is sitting on my skin. And I don't know if that's because I was blending it in with this. I wonder what happens if I just kind of press over everything. Even after having pressed it in with this sponge, it still looks like I'm seeing pigment sitting on the surface of the skin. All right, I'm gonna finish putting this on, and we'll take a look at it all over the face before I finish up the look. I am not, for my personal preference, getting enough coverage to make it worth putting this on. I don't know. I mean, I think I might change my mind once I get concealer on, but concealer is going to be adding another layer of coverage. And I feel like there's a lot of coverage I myself am still going to want. I feel like I have a little bit more redness in through here. Obviously my under eye circles. I feel like I have some redness and some stuff coming up on my chin here. I definitely am going to want to hit some hyperpigmentation spots in through here. I feel like I'm still going to be putting a lot more product someplace else, and it would be easier for me to like skip putting this down and to just conceal where I need it with the spot concealer and then move on. I am feeling a little frustrated because I feel like I am seeing what looks like this shade sitting on top of my skin, and I wonder if maybe I wouldn't notice it as much if it was in my correct shade. Maybe the reason I can notice it more is because it's so much lighter than the rest of the skin on my face. I feel like overall it's not a bad match like from here to here, but I did catch a little bit more sun on my face this summer than I normally do. I'm gonna finish this look up and I may reevaluate whether it's worth putting it in there. I feel like it's not fair for me to fully criticize this because they don't have my shade, and then I feel like they deserve to be criticized just for that. Like if you know you can make a shade in your other foundations, why can't you make it in this one too? I did my best to keep my makeup on the lighter side since I was using a skin tint. I'm like, let's not go too far. And I feel like maybe I might have overdone it a little bit. I feel like this is the sort of makeup that I would wear on most non-filming days. Here's where I want to be completely honest with you is when you see me putting on all the makeup during a video or in a video where I'm talking about products, I don't always wear makeup that heavily, which is why this really called to me. And I feel like a lighter weight foundation, usually what I do is I take a medium foundation and I thin it out with a damp sponge, or I put a really light amount on and then really shear it out with my fingers before I start working it into the skin with a brush or a sponge. I usually like light coverage, but I feel like here it's not earth-shattering. And the only places I have this set are forehead, under the eyes, nose, and chin. I don't have anything over here. And I did put liquid and cream products over the top of this, and I feel like it did okay. Here are all the swatches of the Estee Lauder foundations I have. This one here is the new Futurist Skin Tint. This next one here is the wrong shade of Estee Lauder Sheer Double Wear. I feel like these two are close, where this one's more radiant. This one can be slightly more matte in appearance, but they're both relatively sheer and relatively runny. Like as you're dropping them out, you're getting literal drops of foundation. The third one in here is the Futurist Hydra Rescue. This one here is probably the one that I reach for the most out of all of these Estee Lauders. I really like this formula. This is in my preferred shade 1N0. This last one here is just the traditional Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. They're a long wear foundation. So the most matte, this one's a little bit more radiant. This one is matte but sheer, and this one is the most radiant and the sheerest out of all of them. From a distance, I don't feel like it looks like a bad face of makeup, but the minute I pull my mirror out and I start looking at things, I can notice that I have some problems like right here in the corner of the nose on both sides. I have product that's settling into that little crevice. I also feel like I can see the product sitting on the surface of my skin, on my chin, a little bit right here in this area. And I don't feel like it's settling into my forehead lines, but I haven't had it on for that long yet. I do have it lightly powdered in the T-zone and under the eyes. I feel like for $53, and especially with the kind of experience I've had with most of the other Estee Lauder foundations working really well for me, I was kind of let down by this. I haven't really done a wear test on it. I haven't really done more than just slap it on and go, I feel a little let down. And I'm not sure that I would right now recommend that you go out and try this. I definitely need to keep trying this, but here's where I'll tell you, I'm also kind of like, oh, I don't like the way it looks. And to really give this a thorough review, I'm gonna have to keep wearing it. That does not excite me. Yeah, I think this might be best for people who have dry skin, who want very little coverage and who can find their exact shade. I think the best thing to do would be to go to the Estee Lauder counter if you have one close by and see if they can make a sample for you and be able to try it that way before you spend your $53 on it. And I also wish that the brand would make all the shades that they normally make in their hero product for all their foundations. I really feel like that would be a great way for us to really find out whether a formula works for us just by having the correct shade. All right, thanks so much for watching. Here's where I want to know, are you an Estee Lauder foundation fan? Do you have a favorite formula? Is there one that you've been using forever and ever and you just can't imagine the world without? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you're a skin tint fan, what's your favorite skin tint? What's giving you just enough coverage to make it look like you're really not wearing foundation, but your skin looks amazing? Because I would love to know. Thanks for watching today. Have an incredible day, and I will see you again soon.